helping people around the world. I'm Al Otero with the Global Trade Chamber.
And I'm Maria Rene Davila, CEO of the Global Trade Chamber.
It's going to be an exciting interview. We have a special guest. Maria is going to introduce her in a minute. But we are very selective on the people that we bring in our program because it's people that have reached the level of success in some area of their lives, but also they're impacting the community in a positive way, which we need so much in these difficult times.
Yes. Today we have our special guest, like you said, Al. She's Layla Edward. And it was very interesting because I thought that she was in Venezuela, but we just find out that she's in Greece. So she's definitely multinational, a multinational lady. So we're going to welcome officially Layla. How are you?
Hello. I just want to correct that I'm not in Greece right now. I'm in Cyprus. It's an island.
Cyprus. You said that. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Greece. I'm sorry. That's good.
No worries. Cyprus. No worries. They speak similar languages.
Not that far.
Not at all.
Good.
So what time is there?
It is 6 p.m. 6:04.
Okay, good. So welcome to our show, the Success Story Series. And we would like to learn more about your fascinating background and experience. Tell us more about you, Layla.
Oh, wow. I'm going to do it short because it has been a long life. And this year in September is going to be 58 years. So we're going to resume it to half an hour.
Wow. 58 years?
You definitely don't look it.
I love saying those numbers because they sound big. And then we become also all this experience that started way in Iraq. Many people may not know even what's going on there now. But anyway, I was born there to a parents that the father was Iraqi and the mother was Lebanese, from a very interesting culture that very anxious also is the Assyrian culture. So nevertheless, I left Iraq when I was very young, very baby, because my father died before I was born. And that made my mom to live there while she had me, while she had me and I grew up a little bit and certain things happened in her life. To make it short, she went to her country, Lebanon, to be with her relatives and family and continue living there. So I lived in Lebanon good 7 years of my life. And from that, I went, they took me. We went to Venezuela because as my mother is Lebanese, maybe you know in United States that in South America there is so many Lebanese. In Chile, in Panama, in Venezuela, and in Brazil. Amazing. So we went to Venezuela and I lived there many years. I didn't count them, but what I knew that I was still young in my middle 20s when I went to USA because I had in mind that I knew Arabic. I learned Spanish. It was time for English because
Wow.
I did lose the language that my father's culture spoke, which is Assyrian or Arameos. So I don't remember that one. But when I lived in United States, at the university in Chicago, they taught Assyrian because just imagine the Assyrian community, how big is in Chicago. So I learned a little bit and I learned to dance and to sing along with them, but I cannot have conversations in that language. But in English, in Spanish, in Arabic, you name it. So I'm going for it.
Wow.
Definitely. There is more if you want, or you can give me another question.
No, I love it so far. So you are already multinational. You have been living in different countries and the languages that you learned. That's amazing.
Yeah. So tell us more.
Yes, 8 years after, because I did do a beautiful life. Beautiful because I'm seeing it now from this kind of eyes, beautiful. But when I was in USA, many of it was not beautiful. As you may know how to become big, you fall and then you stand up and you fall again and you stand up again. So USA was very, I had to get my courage, my grit, my constancy. USA was interesting, tough, but it's interesting because it was in a time of my life where I said, it's me who gonna do it or me, because there was nobody else can do it for me. In Venezuela, yes, I had my mom, my sister, and I had many friends. But in USA, I had family, relatives, and I had a lot of friends. But if you don't do your things, not gonna work. So it was interesting. And sometime I went back to Venezuela, but I went back with a good step. I went back to learn and work as a business consultant because I had learned already personal development, and I was working for since 1994, working with the public in general, with groups, individuals, one-to-one in sessions in personal development with conscious breath work. And after this, when I did the conscious breath work, what interesting was about it, I think it touched a space in my brain that it made me feel unlimited. So I could learn so many things. And it was amazing. It was like, wow, we just need to think expansively. I don't say only positively, but expansively, to dare to think a little bit further than what we see, and to breathe. And that breath nurtures the thoughts and gives courage to take the steps. So after that, I went to Venezuela and lived in Venezuela. But from that time on, which was 96, my sister already had a personal development center, which I joined, and then we continued working together. So with my sister, we did what usually it's not used to, because people think that you can't work with relatives because you end up fighting, or you end up separating, or you end up in something that is not correct, which in our case wasn't like that. We did a very beautiful compliment because she is a very outgoing woman with beautiful grit. I repeat grit a lot because nowadays we have an academy called Grit Academy, and we have a beautiful program too that we offer to public. But together we did several trainings, and she would go to some countries for work. I would go to another countries for work. We will reunite, and we had the center in Venezuela until she fell in love, and then she left, and I continued over there. And her love was in Cyprus, which we don't know. We don't know what future holds for us. Who would have said that I would be in Cyprus? But
this goes around. The world goes around and around.
It goes around and around, and it is.
Wow. So tell us about the academy. You still have it, the center?
Definitely, the center, we don't have it because now it's virtual. I can do. The center used to be called, or it is called, because still alive, but it's virtual now. I'm not there, but it's all over the world. It's called Centro Rebirthing de Venezuela. So it's still the name, and we still do the sessions. But when I came to Cyprus, Viola and her husband had created a breathwork company called KAYANA Breathwork. So I joined it as a guest trainer. I love being guest. As a trainer, as a guest, I love to be like just guest, that you can receive, that people receive you and just, share beautiful time with you. I think this is a beautiful title to have. But being here 2.5 years, I think guest doesn't fit anymore. So I became one of the trainers. And in 2018, we started doing, because I work online since 2007. I did my first conference online before going to Panama, Costa Rica. I have been in many places, and I could work from my computer. I could be anywhere, just you name it. So, but never like now. Now it's like our life is through the laptop. It's through that screen. But I do enjoy it very much because I have had some training. So it wasn't a shock at all. It was just a little bit more than what I used to do. So in 2018, just being here almost like consciously and wanting to be here, it wasn't only a vacation time. So I knew I was going to stay longer. Viola and I started working on this academy. And the name wasn't great when it was born, because we created something in the academy that we called the Grit 4Bs. So we wanted to give people practices for their breath, because we're breath workers. We wanted to give practices for the brain, because we cannot live without it. We wanted, because we know how important is the belief system, how can direct our lives. And we wanted practices for the body. So if you hear the 4Bs, is grit breath, grit belief, grit brain, and grit body. So this program it has 2 stages, but the first stage has 7 weeks, and we talk about several subjects that we go for. Like the first one, they are not independent. See, the first one take us to the second, and we develop with those 7 weeks. So it is very the names, like every session, I didn't want to call it just session, but they have names, like it has a characteristic by itself. So each session has its own personality.
Wow.
For example, yes. Are you interested to hear the names?
Yeah, of course. We are very interested in
We
hearing
wanna
everything
learn.
about you.
Well, since we need to connect, so we connect with ourselves and we be inspired. So it's called Connect and Be Inspired. And the beauty about every session, that it reminds you something that you already are, but for some reason, some people have forgotten. And the first session will remind you that you are a gift through the explanation and the session and the exercises. The second is Think and Soar. So we want to go back to our thought and really just soar with them, because we have the capacity and we are capable of doing it. You are limitless. So this is the second. The third one is Act and Expand, because as you know, it's not enough to be inspired and to think. We need to act.
Exactly.
So when we act and then we expand, we remember that we are ready. So this is called Act and Expand, you are ready. The following one, it's interesting because now we need to be present and thrive. You are a winner. Following one is everywhere we go, now even the telephones have this map application. So we also need our map. So map it and get it. You are an achiever. Feel it and enjoy it. You are successful. And the last one is live and shine. You are a star. So this was being created since 2019. And we thought that to start on January, maybe 2020, to give it to the public. But life had taken us, because we're so busy. I'm so grateful that we're so busy in many areas. And January passed and we didn't start. February passed, we didn't start. Then my sister had to travel, several conferences here and there. But when she came back, immediately the following day in Cyprus, they said quarantine. No one can go out of their houses.
No.
So that was March 12th, the airport closed.
Unbelievable.
And that quarantine, instead of putting us down, it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? It was like a quarantine. And my sister is also very quick. 2 great girls. And she said, this is going out Immediately I said, all right, let's do that. Because we
Amazing.
really agree with each other, because we respect each other, not only intuition, because we are intuitive people, but also knowledgeable. And it's like I work with the senses. I do something called neurobics, which is aerobic for the neurons. So when you are so awake with your senses, you don't need to spend time discussing, arguing, debating. You just understand what's going on. If you have everything ready, just go for it and see how is the outcome.
Interesting.
So the
So one of the
outcome,
things, one of the words that you mentioned was breath.
breath,
Can
brain.
you elaborate on breath?
Yes, definitely. Breath, why it is made me feel so limitless, because it's the first thing we do when we come to the world. Yeah. When we are born, what do we do?
Breathe. We breathe or
Breathe.
cry.
So
Or
we are
cry.
alive. And
Cry.
after, it's the sad way to make us breathe when they go like,
Ah,
there's another ways. After learning breath work, because we learn a lot about birth itself, since I'm limitless, I went to train as a birth facilitator or birth coach, as it's known in the world.
oh,
Because our birth, as you said, or cry, how can we avoid aggression or violence at the moment of the birth? So nevertheless, we continue with the breath now, but you know already how we do with the birth. So the first birth has to be with the baby on the mother's chest,
yeah.
and the father is beside, taking in consideration that the baby is healthy. Yeah. When the baby is born ill, please, let's go for the emergencies and everything to save both of them. So what we're talking here is we standing on earth, and we're not changing anything. We just want to humanize things, that they won't be automatic or won't be robotic. So that first breath, it comes to us, so we have life. And the last thing we do in life is
Our last breath.
our last
Right?
breath.
Wow.
So knowing that last breath, since I'm limitless,
Yes,
I
you
went
are.
to reminding you.
Yeah,
So
thank you. She's limitless.
So I went to train with a very interesting lama. It was an intensive training, and it was called POA. And what is POA is to accompany the people in their last time in life. So I can welcome for the first breath, and I can accompany for the last breath.
Wow.
So in between, we do all this development, self-development, dancing, time management. We do positive psychotherapy. I do traditional Chinese medicine. I'm a
Wow.
doctor in CTM. So it is very interesting.
Amazing.
When I discovered the field of human, because I did in Chicago real estate. I was in real estate. And that was a goal at that moment. While I was learning personal development, I also was doing the test on board so I can have my license. And I failed the same time because I think they needed 89 minimum, something like that. And I had like 85. I said, oops, we have to go back and do it. You may know, and you're sure I know, that is not for free. We need to work, pay for it, and get it, and really be a professional. Because this is something interesting for me, to be a professional. Because whatever you want to learn, either it is in a university, meaning formal education, or you decide to learn non-formal education, doesn't matter what your choice is, could be even a course, but go deeper in that, what you're learning, and become professional and continue with it. Because
Be
this
your
is the
best.
only,
At everything
yes,
you do, be your best.
be your best and continue, because sometimes we may discover something beautiful and then we can, of course, I'm not obliged to practice everything I learned, but whatever I have learned, I can use it in my practice.
Very good.
So
Absolutely, and that is so true that what you're talking about is everything that inside is going to reflect how you behave outside. And we're learning day by day that it's not just about having a work, having your job, or having a job or your company, but it's also about what is inside, how you are um, building inside you, your all your positive thoughts. We talk about passion. We
Yep.
talk about how you can relieve your stress. And sometimes we don't pay attention to all these things, but are very important, because if you don't have peace inside you, you're not going to be able to work every day, and you're not going to have the passion that you need. And even for your health, people sometimes is just get used to take medicines. I have headache, I have stomach ache. Okay, give me Tylenol. But it's not just about medicines. I think it's about having, this health spiritual and in your mind. Like you said, I love the term she used, aerobic. You said aerobic in your neuron mind. What did you
no,
say?
I said the name is neurobics, which is aerobic for
Neurobic.
the neurons.
I
Yes.
love it.
No
The
word today.
neurobics you can find out. Lawrence Katz is the neurologist that created, and I discovered it while I was going to Australia. We had to stop in New Zealand, and I always go to the bookshop first before going to the cafeteria. I go to the bookshop. So, and I said, "Wow!" It's like I looked all over. They had book even hanging from the ceiling, from the roof, and I said, "What am I gonna do now?" It's like I have no time to spend here to see all these books. And I said, okay, I'll just catch one. And for some reason, I believe I turned, I don't remember what side, maybe left, because this is my heart side. I just go left most often. So let my heart direct me.
That's how
And I
Maria
just,
drives.
For me, everything is left.
Everything's left. Where's the house? Oh, good love.
so the first book I saw, it was Keep Your Brain Alive. And that's it. Say no more. I bought it. I read it. Then I investigated more. I started training, and then I started sharing. Then I started teaching, because when we teach or when we train others, when I say teach, you can charge money for it or you cannot charge money for it. It's up to you. When I am new in something, I don't charge because I need to practice. So for example, when I learned, I don't practice massage nowadays, but when I did learn massage, because what I teach is self-massage. So people can count on themselves to just feel always feeling good in your neck, good in your head, good in your rest of the body. So self-massage. And so when I learned massage for others, I did give 20 for free because I needed to practice. And my policy was whoever liked it and want a second one, they can pay for it.
I like the philosophy. Layla, tell us about some challenges that you went through. What was the biggest challenge that you had to deal with in your life?
I remember there are several, and usually they are connected to changing countries. So when I changed country, Iraq to Lebanon, I was so baby, so kid, I didn't notice that challenge. But growing up in Lebanon, I was, what do they call it right now? Maybe they would have given me any medication because I was like ADHD. No one can take me. So the challenge was to continue, for my mother, it was to continue finding schools to register me because no school wanted me for the following year.
Wow.
So
Because
she,
we're hyper.
it was like, I don't know. It was terrible for them. For me, it was much fun, but for them, it was terrible.
It was much fun.
What can I tell you? But
Well, that's her personality. She
that
enjoys everything. That's
that
good.
really changed, eventually changed, because doesn't mean that I am or not ADHD. This is not my problem now. But whatever it was, maybe mischievousness that I didn't know where to put my hands on and where to put my head in, nowadays is studying. So the area of education had given me that, so I could be really just going to study. So that was my first challenge, to find a school that can allow me to stay there for the second year. Another challenge, strong one, was at my 9. 9 years of age is not easy number, because you're not a kid and you're not a grown up. You are in something between and you're all confused. And in that confusion, it was my trip, our trip to Venezuela. So I didn't speak Spanish.
We learned a different language.
Yes.
At that
All of
age,
the whole culture was different.
the whole culture was different. They dropped me in school from 3rd grade to maybe 1st grade. So I always was the biggest one in the class. And this white hair is real, and it started when I was 12.
Oh my God.
So the challenge was to speak Spanish, because I wasn't as, maybe I always was intelligent, but intelligence and smart and quick, it's another story. So the intelligence didn't help, because I was talking and some big grown up somebody, I don't know if they made fun of me or not, but I took it as fun or mocking, and I stopped speaking. I didn't want to speak anymore. It took me 1 year to go back to speak Spanish.
Wow.
So this was
Trauma.
deep trouble. Oh wow! Teenaging, it was strong also, because that wasn't the language, but it's a strong moment in life that I had to break through, because it was a very, not half an hour to speak about it. Very strong emotionally, which from that time on, I had migraine, I had, you name it, everything that a teenager girl can have. And to break through that, it took me several years, several. And the migraines, when they got cured or healed, as you can say them, never again.
Wow.
I have not even headaches nowadays.
Wow.
It's
Well, you
amazing
found,
how she actually convert all the challenges and the problems, especially the being hyper, to control her mind and focus all the energy on studying and things that are related with how you can control your mind and your spirit and being happy. That is amazing, because usually when you have this type of, because here in United States all the time, if you are too hyper, you have to take medicines, like you said. So, but I don't really
It's
agree that
horrible.
kids should be
No, it's
taking
horrible.
medicine.
It's horrible.
We should try other options before.
Yep.
We
But
need to direct them
yes,
where they can spend that energy instead of calming that energy.
The
absolutely.
We need people that are not quiet in the world.
That's right.
We need courage. We need
Yep.
grit. We need
Action.
passion. We need continuity. We need long-term situations going on.
I love it.
So
I mean,
And
it's
this,
so important, all this that Layla is telling us, right?
yeah, I think the most important thing we see here, and it's a common denominator in a lot of people, is the culture changes have a tremendous impact on people's lives, and many times they don't know how to manage that, and they're traumatized for life. But you have found
oh,
a way. You're
I
not
found the way.
traumatized at all.
No, because I told you I went to USA, and of course I went. The idea was to go for 3 months to learn English and go back home, Venezuela at that time. So these 3 months converted themselves into 8 years, and then I did learn English in 3 months,
Wow,
because I did do nothing but learning.
it's amazing.
So
Well,
I
there's
would go to school and I would beg the teacher to let me go to the following school. Then I will register in ESL, English as a second language. and I will read the papers I wouldn't understand, but to read them. And in 3 months, I already was working as a translator for
No way.
people, for
Wow.
people that they were in the country maybe 15, 20 years. And I
Well,
was
we are.
translating Spanish, English.
This is
Amazing.
amazing. Well, we're running out of time, but
Yes.
you're definitely an inspiration. You definitely have great ways for people to manage a lot of issues in life. So I think reading and learning is a huge way to burn energy into focus. So
Absolutely.
you have some great lessons to share with people.
We need to
and
do a second session with
yeah, we
Layla.
definitely have to do a follow up because we only got through
So
about 10% of your life, I think.
there is
So
no time. There's no time to talk about time.
no time to talk about
Okay.
time. We're gonna have
To
a
be
follow up.
continued.
Yes.
To be continued, exactly. We need to do a second
Yeah,
interview.
so now we got it. They got to come back and listen to the next session. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. It was an amazing interview. We learned a lot today.
Yes.
But like Al said, this is only the first part. We need to do a second part because I want to learn about time.
Yes, and that's a
Yes.
major. All we have is time in life. So if we manage that well, we're in great shape.
Thank you,
Take
Layla.
care.
Have a good day, a nice
Have a
weekend.
wonderful day.
Bye bye. I love the country where you are also. So
You're always
enjoy
welcome.
every bit in it. Bye bye. Thank
Thank
you
you so
for this
much.
opportunity.
Bye.
Yes, thank you.